Hi again, George Durkee, Columbia College ArcGIS instructor. And those of you in ArcGIS creating a basic map are in for a great treat here. You're getting a sixth and final video, a bonus video. And those of you in GIS and making maps will include this video in your set as well, although it may not be quite as useful, but it's still good to know. I'm going to be covering acquiring geospatial data. A student just wrote a little while ago, and she was having trouble finding data, and that's actually a pretty important skill. And finding geospatial data is kind of like an Easter egg hunt. It's scattered all over the place. It's much easier to find than it was, say, 5 or 10 years ago, but it's still kind of a challenge at times. The best places to start are with local agencies. So, for instance, the Forest Service office, their GIS office, or your county planning office. Sometimes they're good about sharing data. Sometimes they're a little suspicious. But if you have a reasonable project, it is public data, and it's your tax dollars at work, so you do have a right to it. And quite often, a lot of cities and counties are publishing their material online, so it's a lot easier to get, and you don't even have to beg and plead for it as much as you used to have to do. So I'm going to go over some examples of places to get data. But again, I've found when I've got projects going, if I just call county planning or the Forest Service of the area I'm interested in, they're usually pretty good about providing me with it. So some of the places I've listed here, and unfortunately, because it's a video, you can't just click on the URL, so you might want to take a screenshot of this. But some of my primary sources are CalAtlas, the California Geospatial Clearinghouse, and that's atlas.ca.gov, and in this case it's /download, and we'll go to that in a second here. Second one that's often useful is the Board of Geographic Names, and that has databases of all of the geographic names in the country. So things like city names, the peaks, mountains, rivers, features on the landscape. So it's got everything in there. It's a huge database, and I will cover that in a moment. But it's useful for a number of reasons. The national map, the elevation data, is very useful when you want to get a high resolution. So for instance, 1 meter or 10 meter, I'm sorry, 10 meter resolution elevation data. And when you get elevation data using ArcGIS, you can then convert that to hillshade using their hillshade tool, which I won't cover here, but just Google ArcGIS and hillshade and how to convert from elevation data, DEM. The next is the USGS Hazards Data Distribution System. That's a little more specialized. I just included it here because you can get some data. And also if you have permissions, you can see data on hurricanes and things. The U.S. Forest Service National Data Set has an awful lot of useful data. It has roads and trails and things like their surveys of bug trees, trees that are being killed by bugs, which especially in the Sierra right now, 2016, is a really good data set to have. And finally, ArcGIS Online. is a really good source, not only for official data, but a good compilation of what everyday users are creating and posting online. So there's a good chance that if you're on some project or other, that maybe someone else before you has actually put data together. So let's take a look at a few of these and go over them. Let's go to the Cal Atlas site first. And I've covered this in another video. Let's get rid of that. This is California data, and you have a whole bunch of different folders here. The one I show how to use in 2 of my other videos are the imagery, base maps, and land cover. And I won't go into great detail here, but if you go to base maps and go to DRGs, it gives you a variety of map types, 7.5 minute, 30 minute, and larger. And there's there's trimmed and untrimmed. So trimmed is where, if you've seen a USGS map, you'll know that around the outer edge of the map, there's a wide space which gives you information such as grid lines, lat long, and at the bottom it includes a whole bunch of information of where the map is, scale, north arrow, and all that sort of thing. And so you can get that map, and that's called untrimmed. But if you want to stitch a whole bunch of maps together, you'll want to get trimmed. And when you go to and 7.5 minute is often the best size for close-in view. That's the standard 1 to 24,000 USGS map that you buy at the store. And then there's also the mosaic, which is a bunch of stitched together, in this case 7.5 minute series of a larger area. So they're the individual maps, and they're all put together into a set, and that's really useful. I've started to use those, especially now that I've got higher download or higher bandwidth to download it. So you just download one map for a general area. So for instance, Tuolumne County is covered by, Tuolumne and Calaveras counties are covered by 4 of those maps. And then you've got everything. And then let's go back again here. It's also got hillshade, though it's got a lower resolution. I think that's got 30 meter hillshade, whereas a lot of maps at 1 to 24K, you're going to want a little more resolution than that. But 30 meter gives you a reasonable sense of depth for your maps. Then you have other things like imagery, although these files aren't being maintained much anymore, I don't think. And also the USGS maps, the topo series, are all out of date. And so that doesn't matter much for wilderness areas. I think the last series was in the 80s. But if you have to show roads and so on, then they won't be up to date. But on the other hand, if you get a current road layer, then that's not a problem. You have the base topo map, and then you stick a more recent road or parcel map onto it, and you're up to date. Anyway, there's a bunch of stuff in there, so you can explore all that. The next map is, or a map source is, again, USGS. It's the national map, and it has a whole bunch of different map types in there you can get. Unfortunately, they no longer provide USGS topo maps as trimmed TIFFs or JPEGs. Those are the file types. Then they're now what's called GeoPDFs, but they come with the collar around them. And I know there's a way of doing it, and there's utilities out there to do it, but it's hard to stitch those maps together. They're GeoPDFs, so you get location information lat long from them, but they're kind of difficult to use in ARC. I think so many people are assuming you've got an online connection and can just download a base map and keep that live and active, when in fact if you don't have good bandwidth or your internet goes down, you're kind of out of luck. So that's why I always like to keep a set of my own maps on hand. But anyway, one of the file sets here is elevation data. And so here I'm just going to quickly show you get elevation data. And it's a little complicated, so you've got to read up on it here with their help files. But you zero in the area you're interested in on the map viewer here, and you can define the specific area using the tools or just the extent of the map. And then on the left here, you choose what you're interested in. And so for instance, the 1/3 arc-second DEM. DEM is digital elevation model, and so you'll show availability of that in the map set. So if I find products here, it'll show me all of the those maps that are available, and there they are there. And then you can actually show the footprint. And so there's that little green, that's the footprint of this particular map. Anyway, you download that, and you'll have a whole bunch of elevation data sets, and from those you can convert them to hillshade. Next, let's go to the Board of Geographic Names. And as I said, these are all of the named points and polygons, lakes and lines, rivers, for instance, and in the US. And you can download them by state, or you can download the entire national file as zipped, or you can get it as individual states, also zipped. These are pretty big files. A disadvantage, well, a complication is that they're in text format, CSV file, and so they have a separator, and it takes a little bit to get them into ArcMap. I mean, it's not much. Essentially, it's an Excel file that you take it into ArcGIS, and then you convert it to actual XY values on the map. And the data set includes the lat long of each individual point. And you can also use it in ArcGIS Explorer, because that also imports and quickly converts comma-separated values, CSV. That's what CSV is. So if it's separated by a consistent separator, so for instance a comma, but it can also be a tab, or it can be any other symbol, and it'll go through and separate each field and then bring in and locate the lat long. And so for instance, here is a map I have of created on Grand Canyon, and let's go in a little closer here. And so all of these names in black here are individual feature names, and so sometimes they're a repeat, because I imported some of the place name files, but those are also included on the map. I try to separate out the stuff that was already there and delete that. But in any event, but that file also includes named rapids on the river. So so those are shown. So here's Nankoweap Mesa Rapids. And so I wanted all the rapids on the Grand Canyon to show, in addition to the land place names. And just as a side note, I also got from Grand Canyon National Park, their GIS office, I got the locations that they'd mapped of all of the camps, which is useful for the people I was creating this for. And next is, oh, let's make that smaller so I can see, is Forest Service. And this is their geodata site here. And so you can see that it's got biology, boundaries of national forests, scientific information, imagery, inland waters, planning, structures. Some of these may be incomplete, so you just got to go to them and see what's there. One is transportation, and let's take a look at that. So that's got motor vehicle use map, roads, it's got trails, and then it's got several different types of roads and trails. So those are pretty useful. As you know, Forest Service areas have a zillion four-wheel drive and off-the-wall roads that you probably want a good map of because they may not appear anywhere else. And then finally, there is ArcGIS Online. And for that, you create a free account and you go to your My Map, you sign in, go to My Map, and you can then go to adding data, and you want to search for layers. And then you want to drop down and where you're going to search. And it could be on your own organization. You could be part of a larger organization. So for instance, Columbia College is an organization, and somebody else on campus, Jeff or somebody, could have created data that you want to search for. But one of the places is just ArcGIS Online, and this is where you search for projects that other users have done and posted. So in this case, I searched for Grand Canyon river miles. And going back to this map, an important navigation tool for people who run the river is the river mile. They orient everything by what river mile they're on the river. And you know, there's not a big sign there saying river mile 52 or whatever, but from the features, their guidebooks tell them where that point is. And so it's useful in the map I was making for Grand Canyon to show the river miles and label them. And so it happens, and I didn't know where to find any. And so I searched ArcGIS Online, and sure enough, someone has created at least 4 sets of river mile files here. And you can either add it directly to your online map, and those little points come in, which you can also label. So it tells you it's river mile 153. And in ArcGIS Online, you can set it up so that the field river mile, one word, shows comes up with a label of 153. But you can also go right to the data itself, ask for the item details, wait a little bit, and then you can download it directly to ArcGIS desktop. And you can also bring that into Arc Explorer I think. I'm not 100% sure about that. But anyway, you might have to convert it somehow or other. Anyway, that's about it. I just wanted to show you a little bit of what's out there. And I have not shown, you know, how to convert a lot of this stuff, because that's unfortunately the other half of the battle, is that, okay, the data is there, but you know, how do you get it onto a map? Some of it's just straightforward. You just drag the file, you know, in its native format. Some of it's a little more complicated, like for instance, the GNIS layer. You've got to bring it in as an Excel file and then have it project onto the map. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't go so well. But in any event, in each of those methods, the internet, you know, searching the internet, specifying, you know, ArcGIS, import Excel file, for instance, and look for either online instructions or even a YouTube video. I've found those to be helpful. And I have one video on importing Excel into ArcGIS. Okay, well, I hope that's helpful. And like I said, this will be the last video for the ArcGIS Creating a Map class. And you know, again, this is stuff that's nice to know, and you may need it later for reference, but it's not required for the class. Okay, thanks a lot.